There's a business advisor, I know Khalil's worked with, and we've done a show with him, Martin Holland. He sent me we talk about standard operating procedures in a conversation. He sent me a one-page, what the SOP was for a person working at McDonald's to make the Big Mac. There
Sure.
were 53 written steps about Meg and there was so it was a page of and it was kind of a blow up schematic of everything in there, you know?
Sure.
So, the order you put things when you got to the pickles, 2, um, I forget what the word was, 2, standard size pickles laid side by side. If pickles next point, if pickles are smaller than standard size, 3 pickles should be used in your and, like, for literally every single step. And you go, "Well, why is that important?" Because what the brand is selling is 100% consistency of that product,
Right.
billions anywhere in the world. And so here's my question to you. We're we're shooting for standard operating procedures in companies like ours,
Mhm.
and yet almost every project is customized.
Yes.
Isn't it challenging to try and figure out standard operating procedures for custom one-off solutions?
I think again that therein lies a potential trap. Yeah, what we do is custom.
Well, that's what we
Uh,
do here. We lay traps for our guests, Jason, and really everyone's listening and taking notes
I,
about whether
I,
you
I,
pass this test.
I appreciate that, Chris. No, I think again, yeah, it's custom, and yeah, our industry is the experiential marketing, but other industries, manufacturing, it doesn't matter. Pick one. I think back to your comment about McDonald's, right? What you have to do is, to me, that 53 steps is outrageous. I get the consistency, and you're right, that matters. But what's where I have found the most success in my career is you boil that down to a one-page document with maybe 10 bullets. That's it. So you, what is again, we're talking about standard operating procedures. So yeah, while it's custom, there are certain aspects that happen irregardless of whether it's, custom or
Yeah,
whether it's, a multi-thousand unit process.
yeah.
Identify those standard pieces. What are the most critical? What matters the most for success, for failure, for quality, to ensure quality? And then once you get to that point, and sometimes, we talked about a book earlier. Sometimes you've got SOPs for every step throughout the process. Like if you're doing inbounding, maybe you have 10-step
Yeah.
process for inbound, a different one for outbounding, a different one for setup, a different one for for sales, a different one for accounting. What are those critical steps? And keep it simple, right? Again, we have a tendency to overcomplicate everything. At the end of the day, we're not saving lives here. Thank God for those that are, but it's not us. And
Yeah.
and sure, for our clients, it's that important. But if we can focus on those basics that don't respect the fact that it's a custom or not, you have something you can build on. Again, it's the fundamental, the blocking and tackling. And once you get those identified, that's the real work, I think, is
Yeah.
is what's those standard steps that happen every single time that ensure success.
You know, I
I
I
think to your point, Chris,
yeah,
the audience also matters. Like, I think
yeah.
if the Big Mac you might have a 16-year-old making that Big Mac, and maybe you do need all 53 steps for the training.
Well, I
And
think
for
if
the audience of
yeah,
the SOPs in your company, a lot of times you've got a project manager who's been doing this for a long time, but they just need to do it our way.
Yeah,
You don't need the 53 steps.
right,
They're intelligent enough to think on their feet, to problem solve,
right.
and so you have to take that
you
into
yeah,
consideration.
if I'm you that's a great point. If I'm hiring 1 or 2 people for position at my company, I can to Jason's point, I can have 10 steps defined. There's gonna be a certain amount of supervised interactive training with
Mhm.
a veteran person or a manager, and there's some things you're gonna show that aren't gonna be in writing, and hopefully you're gonna learn, and you're gonna be able to decide if they learn or not. But if I were gonna have thousands of employees in thousands of locations in
Yeah,
a high turnover job, I can see why it really has to be over communicated in writing.
Yeah.
Um, really smart guy that trade show industry guy, named Scott Wallowed, used to run Display Prep, is now part of the Apple Rock Group. Shout out to Scott if you're listening. Give me a couple great pieces of advice decades ago. He said, put it in writing. First thing he said was, every client deserves a clean sheet of paper. And I go, well, what does that mean? He goes, well, when you get a call in your desk, don't flip over an envelope from a bill you got to write something down. Every customer deserves a clean sheet of paper. I still live by that, Scott. The second thing was, anything in writing is an agreement, and agreements prevent disagreements. You put the standard operating procedure of how you're going to pull and prep aluminum frames for a build, how
Mhm.
you're going to stage a shipment that's going out the door, how you're going to return inspect something that comes back. You put that in writing, and all of a sudden we can all agree that's the way we're doing it,
Right.
right? And I can train to that, and I can hold people accountable to that. And when there's something missing and we see missing, I can update that, and it can get better. So to your, yeah, you're right. 53 steps might sound like overkill, but to Khalil's point, circumstances, the audience, the people you're dealing with, that's going to matter, I think, to the level of detail that you're gonna get to.
Chris, I think there are occasions, and there have been occasions in my career where the SOP for a certain client is different than the SOP for the organization, right? That's how you can
Wow.
achieve some of those custom elements because you know that that client needs XYZ while everyone else is ABC. You
Great
better
point.
be able to augment your SOP for that specific customer to again provide that same quality
And
control.
you
And
agreeing to do it XYZ way
yeah,
may very well be why you got that account, that relationship, because they wanted a very catered,
that's right.
specialized set of deliverables or methodology or whatever that
Right.
case be.